What's up, everybody? It's Justin. Welcome to Live Ask Me Anything, number 73. I wasn't certain I'd get here. Quite stressed. Been a busy day. Played a really fun gig, some giant trade show. There was thousands and thousands of people walking around, and we were playing pianos and stuff, taking requests. It was fun. I was there for several hours today. Got home, threw a steak on the cast iron, smoked out my whole house. That was awesome. I had to turn on all the fans. I had to open my front door. I have French doors right next to me, two big French doors that lead out to a screened-in porch with a fan. I had that fan running, open the screen doors, smoke alarm went off, all of it. Not even kidding. It was crazy. I got home and was like, let's see how fast I can cook a steak, and put the cast iron on high. And then I went into my room and proceeded to forget. And I was like, okay, the pan's really hot. I'm just going to throw the steak on there. Anyway, I'm a child, everyone. I'm a child living in a grown-up house that I own. It's weird. I think about that all the time. I'm like, who gave me a house? Why do you let me have this? I'm going to burn this bitch down at some point. It's totally going to happen. Also, trying to get Instagram figured out here. So I wanted to go live because I was about to go live at 8, went to do this Instagram post, and sure enough, it's not cooperating with me completely. So it's like, I'm just going to go live and figure out the Instagram post while I'm live. Cool. So I tagged myself in this video with a swipe up story, and I want to add it to my personal page. So I'm doing that at Justin Nault. Added that. I don't have a swipe up on at Justin Nault because I don't even have 3,000 followers. Nobody likes me. On Clovis, though, we balling out of control with them Instagram followers, son. Balling out of control. Guys, I'm going to keep having obligations during the day because I did the music video last week and then I'm going to put this in airplane mode. Did the music video last week, drank way too much coffee all day, and then came to the episode like this. And now I played this gig and there was free coffee at the gig. What? Yeah, free coffee? Okay, cool. I'll have more coffee. Hooray! Coffee, ribeye steak, some egg yolks. I'm good to go. Let's do the thing. What's up, everybody? Judy. Hi, Judy. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Jennifer. Carla, can they see you on Instagram? They can't see this. No, they can't see the live. I used to do too. If I get another phone, anybody want to send me a phone? Somebody mail me a phone, okay? I've been thinking about buying another phone because I really like the iPhone X because the camera is wonderful. But I've been thinking about buying another phone so I can do Instagram Live and Facebook Live at the same time like I used to do. I used to do that all the time. But the other issue with Instagram is I can't talk. Even if you go like a minute over an hour on Instagram, we used to have this issue where I'd have multiple phones set up and then Instagram would just turn off, which isn't a huge deal. I mean, they can still see most of it. The other issue becomes trying to field questions. I have multiple screens. So I used to be able to do that when Josh and Anna would help me. Clovis OGs, you know those names. We had Josh the Wizard. We have Anna. Who were both helping me. We would do those live and I'd have multiple phones and then I would have people monitoring actual comments. So it's really tricky because Instagram is very fast. Like when I do the In Case You Missed It, I do that every Friday live on Instagram Live and it's very fast. It's like comment. It's a different environment than Facebook. It's really strange. It moves super fast. I think people expect you to be fast. Like here, we're chilling in my kitchen. Slow down, nice and easy. We're just going to talk about stuff tonight. I went in through and grabbed a bunch of questions real quick before I got on here, threw them into Evernote. So I have a list of questions just in case you guys can ask me stuff, whatever you want to ask me here as well. You know, what else we got? What's up, Mike? What's up, Heather? What's up, Tiffany? Yeah, a little hype. Way too much coffee. It's going to impact my sleep. Guys, I'm super bummed about that. I've been running experiments with my Oura Ring and caffeine intake. And I find that what's crazy is I am a fast metabolizer of caffeine. You can get that checked through your genetics. So I'm a fast metabolizer of caffeine. I'm a fast metabolizer of alcohol. Probably why I had so much fun with it in the past. Yeah, I'm a fast metabolizer of caffeine. But even with a fast metabolizer, generally speaking, you're looking at a half-life of about 6 hours with caffeine. Half-life meaning if you ingest 100 milligrams of caffeine, 6 hours later, you're probably going to still have about 50 milligrams of caffeine in your system. Now, if my daily coffee intake is like probably 4 to 6 cups, if I had to guess, that's a lot of caffeine to have in your system. And I used to drink coffee like up till 2 p.m. So what I've been doing now is 1 cup of coffee, which is about 2 cups of coffee. It's like 10 ounces when I weigh it out and my little perfect cup of coffee. So it's like 10 and a half ounces. And I've just been doing that in the morning while I do like my journaling and reading my Kindle. And then I don't have any more coffee for the rest of the day. And my deep sleep has gone way up and it's unreal. The difference in the way you feel with more deep sleep cycle is astonishing. And that's been the one thing I wanted to hack, where I do an infrared sauna at night, followed by a cold shower. I do a meditation before I go to sleep in a blacked out room. My house is at 66 degrees. I do all the sleep hacking things, right? And I haven't been able to crack this code of just increasing deep sleep and I haven't wanted to give up caffeine, to be honest. I love caffeine. I love the way coffee makes me feel. So I haven't really wanted to do that. So I finally sucked it up and experimented with it, went off coffee completely for a week. And then introduced it back in, like this 1 cup, 10 ounces, whatever, every morning, and then cutting it off, no more after that. But again, when I have gigs, it's a little tricky. Like I was like, all right, I'm gonna drink some coffee because I need to be, like Tiffany just said, wow, you're hype. Like Tiffany, you know this, like I gotta be hype as shit when I'm playing gigs. That's like I have to be hyped. That's my job, So sometimes I need that little extra boost. So I might not sleep as well tonight, but it's all right. I'm figuring things out. Anyway, always experimenting, constantly experimenting, everybody. Sweet haircut. Thank you. I appreciate that. I went to a new salon today because my hairdresser moved out of town. Janine, she left me. Oh, man. But I got this new hairdresser named Kelly, and she's freaking awesome. We had a great conversation, great salon. It's a little ways away. It's like 30 minutes away. But anyway, yeah, it's called Bay Rose, Bearose. Bay Rose. I just gave you another social media shout out. You owe me money or something. I'm just kidding. All right, guys, let's jump in here. What are we doing? Shannon, what would my metabolism of caffeine be since I feel absolutely nothing when drinking caffeine? I don't know. You got to check. Totally got to check. It's different. And the thing is, the fast metabolizer and slow metabolizer, not a hard and fast rule, I find. My little sister will drink coffee and go to sleep. She'll drink coffee at 9 o'clock at night and be asleep by 10:30. She'll literally, I've seen her drive to Starbucks like before they close, get like a venti iced coffee and like go in her room and watch a movie and drink coffee and fall asleep. Cool. I've been in similar scenarios where I have a gig or something, like I'll head out to a gig at 9 p.m. then I'm going to play till 3 in the morning and like have a giant iced coffee or whatever. And like when I get home from the gig, I am out cold. I think that there's a lot more at play. Caffeine is not just this thing that's going to keep you awake no matter what. You know what I mean? If it was, then it would work on long drives. I don't know about you guys, but I've had plenty of long drives, road trips where I've drank a ton of coffee and I'm still doing the head bob and the coffee's just not enough, So coffee's not a hard and fast rule of like you're going to be awake or you're going to feel something, if that makes sense. So, yeah, and there's like a lot of other variables. If I have a nitro cold brew from Starbucks, has so much caffeine that I don't think they even let you get a venti of the nitro cold brew because it's like twice the caffeine. It's dangerous or whatever. If you drink like a nitro cold brew first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, I would be surprised if you didn't feel anything from that. So test it out. Test it for yourself. See if you can see what caffeine feels like. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? You don't need to. It's not a necessity for life to know how caffeine works, Pre-workout PPP, nothing. Cool. I don't know. Judy, I can go to sleep after a cup of coffee. No problem. Yeah, a lot of people can. Again, guys, everybody's different, Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's dig into some questions. There's a lot of shit I don't know, guys. There's some stuff I don't know from a couple of the questions I saw tonight that I'm going to touch on just because I don't actually know, and they're interesting questions. So I got a bunch of questions. So I grabbed them all here, and I'm going to try to weave these into some kind of coherent episode, given the fact that I just kind of rushed here and made it. It's awesome. I can go to sleep after caffeine, but I know it's not deep sleep. That's the other thing. It's a really good point, Elise. Just because you can go to sleep with caffeine, I would be very, very skeptical of anybody who says, I can drink caffeine and have deep sleep. Probably not. It's the same way that people think wine helps them sleep. No, it doesn't. I assure you it doesn't. It disrupts your sleep cycles 100%. The science on this is clear and irrefutable. So people will drink wine or they watch TV. Well, I watch TV before bed because it helps me fall asleep. No, it doesn't. It helps you pass out. Wine helps you pass out. Bourbon, beer, they help you pass out. They don't help you sleep. They do not help you sleep. So you have to know that. Like alcohol and caffeine are two of the biggest sleep disruptors on planet Earth. So just because you can drink something and go to sleep doesn't mean that you should drink something and go to sleep. Not in the least, particularly if you give a crap about your sleep quality, So that's a really good point, Elise. I'm really glad you said that. I've done 2 scoops of fat loss in coffee and still nothing. Don't know what to tell you. Congrats. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. What's your thought on matcha tea? I heard the caffeine is more of a slow release. I get annoyed by this. The slow release and fast release and all this stuff. And like, it's caffeine. It's from a different source. Sure, you're still steeping something in water to make caffeine. Like, you're not eating tablespoons of matcha tea or like chewing on coffee beans. What? It's like, it's still caffeine. It's gonna get in your system. Like, it probably feels a little bit different because of the other things in tea, like yerba mate tea, matcha tea. They make me feel quite different than coffee makes me feel. But that's not because of caffeine is caffeine. Caffeine's, it's a molecularly the same. You know, there's so much, guys. I talk about this all the time. Everything you think you know about nutrition was sold to you by marketers. It's like, this whey protein is slow release, and this one is fast release. And this is slow, like there's slow release, fast release stuff all over the market. And I mean, what the hell? You have some magic caffeine that other things don't have? Like, it's a molecule. You know what I mean? It's being like, this insulin is different than this what? It's insulin. Dopamine is dopamine. Insulin is insulin. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just interesting. Matcha tea, people swear by it. They love it. A lot of people love matcha. A lot of people love tea and don't drink coffee at all. If you drink caffeine and nothing happens, does that mean the adrenals are shot? No, I don't think so. I do not drink it before bed because I do not get deep sleep. Yes, exactly. All right, let's dive in. I mean, you guys can feel free to keep asking me questions here. I kind of want to do this free flowing, but I figure I'll get the ball rolling with one question that I get all the time that it confuses me, but also it confuses me, yes, but it's my bad for not being clearer about this. So question number one, we're going to answer this in 3.5 seconds. Why is garlic not an approved food? Thanks. It is an approved foods. Moving on. I actually get this question a lot about garlic, but garlic is tricky because garlic is like closely related to onions. It's like, could be considered in the onion family. Garlic could be considered a spice. Garlic could be considered an herb. Is it an herb or a spice? I'd argue you could say either one. But on the approved foods list, herbs and spices are approved, right? It just says that. So yeah, garlic is totally an approved food. I'm totally cool with garlic. So whoever asked that, yes, it is an approved food. Don't worry. Go eat you some garlic, grill it up, throw it in a skillet with a little bit of duck fat, throw a steak on there. Ooh, so good. Crazy good. All right. Next question. So the dude that asked the Blue Zones question, I think he's cool with me just saying it. I'll probably, what's up, Joel? How's it going, man? So follow up to the Blue Zones last week. We talked about the Blue Zones last week, and this is going to be a very similar question. I know that he didn't intend it to be a similar question, but it is. Why? Because details matter. I need to make a Details Matter t-shirt. I really do. I'm going to put my face on it, like those Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. shirts and those Obama shirts, like a tall T, just face. It's going to be me like this, making this face. It's going to say Details Matter. I'd buy that shirt. All right, question. Great answer on Blue Zones last week, bro. Whole food, plant-based diets versus carnivore diets. What does the science say about the long-term health of someone who is on a whole food, plant-based diet compared to a carnivore diet? The truth is, I have no idea. And neither does anybody else. That's the thing. We don't have long-term science. So Joel, if you haven't checked this out, man, you need to check out my conversation with Paul Saladino. Oh, snap, Cassie's live. Hey, excited I finally get to tune into a live for a bit. At least, P.S., the cut is looking fresh, my friend. Thank you, Cassie. Cassie, I love you. You're awesome. I have so much fun communicating with this girl. Guys, go follow Cassie on Instagram. She's badass. Carnivore with some carbs, savagery. She's going to be drinking paleo powder. Go follow her on Instagram. Cassie, throw your Instagram handle in the comments. All right, back to this. So whole food plant-based diet. Cassie, you'll love this answer, I'm assuming. Whole food plant-based diets versus carnivore diets. What does the science say about the long-term health? We don't know. We don't have accurate nutrition science. Guys, I have talked about this ad nauseum, right? I talked about this with Rob Wolf on the podcast. I talked about this with Paul Saladino on the podcast. I talked to Annika about it. Jackie and I might have touched on it in the most recent episode. We don't know. Why? Because all nutrition science, basically all nutrition science we have up until the last few years is absurdly biased, absurdly skewed, and was done on a sick population. Flat out, not just like an unhealthy population, a sick population. We don't know of nutrition studies done outside of when the food pyramid existed. I went over this in one of my AMAs. The first vitamin was synthesized in 1926, right? See if I can remember all this stuff. The first vitamin was synthesized in 1926. Can't remember which vitamin it was. And then by the 1950s, we had these things happening where doctors were already saying like less fat, more margarine, less lard, more Crisco, and all this stuff. Like it was really getting crazy. This low fat thing was already starting to catch steam, to catch momentum, right? So they started advocating for low fat diets, getting the fat out of the diet, and high grain consumption. You know, my dad talked about it in my podcast where he's eating things like mapo, just like literally just grains, like eating mapo for breakfast, mapo and Crisco with pancakes. Like high carb, low fat happened when my dad was a kid. He was born in 1959. By the 1960s, low fat was already solidified, low fat, high grain. We didn't even start examining the idea that nutrition could play a role in chronic disease until the 1970s. We didn't start testing if nutrition plays a role in chronic disease until, really testing with accurate science, until the 90s. Most of the studies that we have done on the role of chronic disease the role of nutrition in chronic disease were done year 2000 after. Let's think about that. We already had decades, at least 3 decades of basically all of America eating a standard American diet. By 1992, the food pyramid was being taught in public schools, being taught to every kid alive, basically. By the year 2000 and after 2002, where we started doing a lot of nutrition studies, nutrition's role in chronic disease, everyone was already eating a standard American diet. So if you did a scientific study on me, or did a scientific study on Cassie, let's say, a carnivore, and then did a scientific study on a 200-pound person following the standard American diet at 40% body fat, guess what? My results and Cassie's results are going to be way freaking different than the standard American diet person. They are absolutely going to be. So we don't really know. We don't know the answer to these questions. Then you have the sticky situation that 2/3 of all nutrition studies are funded by big food companies. And it's either 2/3 or 1/3, but it's the other 1/3 is funded by pharmaceutical companies. I may have those backwards. 2/3 may be pharmaceutical companies, 1/3 may be big food, but 100% of studies basically are funded by big food companies and pharmaceutical companies. Tell me that these studies are not biased. Are you kidding me? We know that scientists were paid off in the 1950s, I believe, to say that fat was bad, to say that sugar had played no role in heart disease and that fat was the culprit. We know this. This was published in freaking Time magazine, talked about it. We have the written communications that this happened. Scientists get paid off all of the time. So this is a fundamentally flawed question, because you're saying, what does the science say about the long-term health of someone who's on a whole food plant-based diet compared to a carnivore diet? We have no idea. Nobody has any idea. And the other thing is, I had a call with Paul Saladino a couple weeks ago, and I talked to him about this, and we're talking about things that I'm doing with my diet and my dad's doing with his diet because we have a genetic cholesterol condition, blah, 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 blah. And I just said, dude, I'm not willing to wait 20 years and hope and pray that the gods of the universe, the government and the pharmaceutical companies are magically going to start studying things like whole food keto diets or whole food carnivore diets or whole food plant-based diets. Like, they're going to start studying these things magically. We're going to have to wait decades before we know the answer to the question that you just asked, unless citizen science, people start studying themselves. Anecdotal. Yes, anecdotal. That word gets thrown around a lot. All the experiments I've done on myself are anecdotal, but guess what? I know what works for my body. I absolutely know what works best for my body. It's why I perform at such a high level all the time, right? You guys need to know what works for your body. And you can't sit here and say, what does the science say on the long term? Guess what? You're not getting that answer. You're not getting that answer. So you have to think about what your symptoms are. Think about how those symptoms compare to other people's stories on Instagram or podcasts or whatever else. Listen to my podcast, listen to Paul's podcast, listen to Rob Wolf's podcast. Rob has been preaching individualized nutrition for years. And it's crazy because he hasn't gotten as much attention as carnivores have, because Rob is nuanced. He's very nuanced, right? He's a brilliant man. I usually go to Rob when I need advice, right? But he didn't come out and say, I'm a 100% carnivore, which gets you a shitload of attention right now. Or I'm 100% vegan, gets you a shitload of attention right now. This is just the way that society works right now. There's no room for discussion or nuance or details anymore, and it drives me crazy. You have to be part of a camp and come out with that camp hardcore to get this crazy amount of attention. You know what I mean? So the truth is, nobody really knows the long-term science. But I want to do a little aside on this question for the dude that answered, Joel, because I think you're getting hung up. You're getting hung up on these questions you continue to ask, like the question about blue zones. You said, what about the fact that no people in the blue zones follow a low carbohydrate diet? That it's missing the point of the blue zones entirely, right? So and then you ask this question, what does the science show of a whole food plant-based diet compared to a carnivore diet? Those are two extremes, right? Nobody follows a low carb diet. That's an extreme. They're whole food plant-based versus carnivore. Those are two extremes. Comparisons, aka camps. So you're comparing. That's the other issue. So one extremes, two comparisons. Anyone who's listened to me long enough knows I'm not a fan of camps. And that's why it's so hard to define Clovis, right? Because Clovis is like, be considered a high protein diet. High protein, moderate fat, moderate carbohydrate. I would say adequate fat, moderate carbohydrate, low lectin, anti-inflammation, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of hard to define. Whereas keto, paleo, vegan, carnivore, these things are quite easy to define, right? And this idea of a whole food plant-based diet, where carnivore is a whole food animal-based diet. So we can say whole food plant-based, and you can say whole food carnivore or whole food animal-based. There's still both whole food diets, right? Then we talk about Clovis. I say eat whole foods, change the world. Clovis is a whole food omnivore diet, right? The standard American diet is 60+% processed foods and ultra processed foods. More than 60% just processed foods, not a whole food to be found basically whatsoever. So if we look at whole food plant-based, we look at whole food animal-based, or we look at whole food omnivore, which is Clovis, which I recommend, why does everyone focus on the differences of those? Because they have more in common than what they have apart. They're whole food diets. That's it. They remove the processed junk. That's why they can work. That's why all of them can work in different people. It's like when we talked about the blue zones, right? Everything about American culture is anti-longevity. Everything about American culture is anti-longevity, particularly the diet. So let's focus on the commonalities between these approaches. Again, eat whole foods, change the world, right? I ranted on the blue zones last week because Joel had said none of them are low carb. That's a giant generalization. It's a very teeny tiny piece of the puzzle. Zero nuance, no details there. Details matter. Details matter. 99.9% of the advice from the blue zones has nothing to do with carbohydrates. Nothing at all. So why do people focus on carbohydrates? It drives me nuts, right? All of these dietary approaches that Joel's asking about here, whole food plant-based, carnivore, I added in whole food omnivore, which is Clovis, in my opinion. That's the best whole food omnivore diet. But they're effective because of their commonalities, because of what they remove. You see what I'm saying? So you need to change your lens here. Details are everything. Not only do they matter, details are everything. Again, that's my biggest problem with 2019 with society right now. Nuance has gone completely out the window, okay? So I think of carnivore, vegan, so let's say whole food plant-based, whole food animal-based, right? I look at these as therapeutic modalities. The same way as I look at a strict ketogenic diet as a therapeutic modality. That's kind of what it's used for. Like my niece who has a terrible seizure disorder, right? The doctors are like, let's try the ketogenic diet. It works in epileptic patients. All these things, these therapeutic modalities. I don't think they're meant to be taken to their extreme and followed 100% of the time for the rest of your life. Unless you're a Michaela Peterson and you have a little bit of oil or anything plant-based and you're basically bound to a freaking wheelchair. Some people are that way. They have serious autoimmune conditions. I don't. Cool. Why do I need to live like Michaela Peterson if I don't have the issues that Michaela Peterson has? Why do I need to live like Rich Roll, the most well-known vegan athlete? I'm not an ultra endurance athlete. I look nothing like Rich Roll. I'm a different age. I'm a different everything, right? Why do I need to live like Rich Roll? So that's the thing, is you can look at these therapeutic modalities. Now, I will say I have clients right now who are following a carnivore diet. Why? Because I've tried everything with them with Clovis, and they have an ounce of plant matter or anything with fiber in it, and they're stuck on the freaking toilet for an hour, and they have headaches, and they have inflammation. They don't handle plants. They just don't handle plants. Now, that doesn't mean they'll never be able to handle plants. Maybe this is short term. They just have serious gut dysbiosis. They might be dealing with SIBO or C. diff or Could be candida or anything, right? These issues in the gut. And then there's people that deal with things like endotoxins who actually do better by removing meat products. They might do better with a whole food plant-based diet. But again, it's just this idea of just saying which one's better, you know? What does the science say about whole food plant-based? What does the science say about carnivore? We don't know, and we're not gonna know, okay? I'm telling you right now, nobody is incentivized to do this. What people are incentivized to do is sell processed food. That's where the money is at, selling processed foods. That's where the money's at, right? That's what's happening. What's happening right now with this Eat Lancet global dietary push for plant-based, it's the same companies that invented the food pyramid. I don't know how people don't see this. You can literally look up Eat Lancet study funding and see who funded the study. You can look at these companies. It's right out in the open. This isn't tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, everybody. These are marketers figuring out how to make plant-based cool again. That's exactly what's happening. It's insane. They ignore biochemistry completely. Go to Rob Wolf's Instagram. It's at DASROBBWOLF. Go to at @DasRobWolf. He just put a thing up about this True Health company. They're blatantly lying about what is healthy. They're blatantly ignoring biochemistry, straight up lies, and they don't give a crap. They are pushing an agenda, right? So this idea, get the science thing out of your head, bro. It's just, it sucks. It sucks, man. We're completely screwed in that regard. We are at, testing for this stuff is super expensive. We're talking millions and millions of dollars, right? We've spent trillions of dollars, and we're still arguing about nutrition. Trillions of dollars over decades, and people are still arguing about nutrition. Why? Because money makes the world go round, bro. So sorry, I don't have a more direct answer for you, but the thing is N equals 1. This is what we say, make yourself the test subject. Go try some stuff, dude. If you want to try vegan, whole food plant-based, try it. If you want to try carnivore, try it. Go for it. The beautiful thing is we live in this wonderful meat suit that is wildly adaptive. The human body is incredible. You could survive on saltine crackers for a year if you wanted to. You really could. Some bad shit's going to happen. But then at the end of that year, you could go to something like carnivore and get all the micronutrients in the world and feel better, and your body will adapt. We are unbelievable creatures. Have some fun. I don't say this to people enough. Have some fun. Experiment on yourself. It is fun for me to go in the sauna. It is fun for me to take cold showers. It's fun for me to experiment with carnivore. It was fun for me to do CrossFit for a long time. It was fun for me to do powerlifting. It was fun for me to train with an Olympic powerlifting coach for quite some time. It was terrible for my body, but it was super fun. I really like it. I like going to other countries. I like psychedelics. I like all these things, right? Just have some fun with this meat suit that you live in, man. Don't be so afraid all the time of just what's the perfect way? What does the science say? You know, just experiment on you. You are the test subject. You are the scientist. Go do it, man. Have some fun, you know? All right, this is a good question. Next one. Where's the best place to start and to understand what the program entails? So again, speaking of approaches, Clovis is my favorite for sustain. Clovis is my forever plan. Clovis is always going to be my forever plan. That's just it. It's whole food, omnivore. That's what I'm going to be for the rest of my life. I'm going to experiment with carnivore. I'm going to experiment with different macronutrients. I'm going to experiment with stuff forever. I'm a biohacker. It's what I do. I love tweaking this stuff. So I'll constantly tweak, right? But Clovis is my forever diet. So the person who's new, let me actually see if I can get a link to this real quick. So at youtube.com/theclovisculture, I have a bunch of playlists. There's a ton of videos there, guys. If you haven't gone there recently, let me type that out for you. youtube.com/theclovisculture. There's so much new content there. It's amazing. So that is the YouTube. And then this playlist here, is called Common Clovis Questions. So I just shared a link directly to a playlist called Common Clovis Questions. That's the best place to go. That I just walk through exactly what happens when you become a member. It's just me on video. This is what happens when you become Clovis. This is what we do. This is what we do, right? And then I would say back to basics episodes. We have back to basics for the newbies. That's AMA 45. We have what makes Clovis different and why you need it. That's AMA 27. There's also back to basics, lectins and leaky gut, I think is super important, particularly for this whole food plant-based versus whole food animal-based thing. You got to learn about lectins, oxalates, phytates. You need to learn about these plant toxins. It's super important. I try to remove the biggest offenders of plant toxins in the Clovis omnivore diet. I try to do that for you, but I can't get all of them. I'd have to remove everything, right? So check out lectins and leaky gut. That's AMA number 24. And then check out Back to Basics Fat Loss, which is AMA number 22. So you can find all of those at clovis.show. That's where all the show notes live. So go to clovis.show, and maybe you got to play this back, listen to Back to Basics Fat Loss, Back to Basics Lectins and Leaky Gut, Back to Basics for the Newbies is a great episode, and what makes Clovis different and why you need it. I would do that and watch that Clovis Culture playlist, Common Clovis Questions. That's a great place to start. So go check that stuff out. What else we got? Any new comments? Kristen, Levin Cassie. Yeah, she's awesome, man. Very, very cool stuff. Diet is a lot easier to experiment with than pharmaceuticals. 100%. That's such a great comment. Yeah. I mean, what more can you say? That's what it's so fun. That's what's crazy to me too, is people will be afraid of, like, I'm afraid to try carnivore. What if I die? What if I have a heart attack? But those same people will go into a doctor's office and the doctor's like, here's a script for Zoloft. Here's a script for Ambien. You need this. Bye. And they just go, oh, he's an expert. He gave it to me. I'm going to swallow this. What? I can't wrap my brain around that, everybody. That's really something. Sorry if that sounds judgy, but like, I cannot wrap my brain around that. You're afraid to eat ribeye steaks every day, and you will take some fucking white pill that you know nothing about. They don't talk to you about the side effects about it, and you will put that down your throat each and every day without question, like a blind sheep. But like, you're afraid to eat red meat? What? Stop and think about that for a second. Really stop and think. If you are one of those people and you're like, well, a doctor gave me a pill, of course I'll take this pill. A doctor gave it to me. And then you literally think, like, if I eat eggs, I'm going to have a heart attack, or if I eat ribeye, I'm going to have a heart attack. Wow. You need to re-examine the entire way that you view the world. You really should. And I mean that from the deepest place of love, because if you are totally cool just taking random pharmaceuticals from a doctor and like still think red meat's going to kill you, you got to re-examine some things. And I'm speaking directly right now to my parents' generation and above, because all you parents who think that your millennial kid who is Clovis is a fucking nutcase, you got to look in the mirror, because there's a lot of information out there that you don't know. Okay. Anyway, next question. So here's a good question about supplements. It says, talk to me about Paleo Valley's organ complex and vitamin C complex. You did custom macros for me at the beginning of the year, and to be candid with you, I'm just starting Clovis now. Yikes. I'm glad you added yikes. She wrote yikes, or she, I don't know who this is, but they wrote yikes, not me. That's them. Just starting Clovis now. Yikes, right? Started this week. I started both complexes yesterday. That is Paleo Valley's organ complex and vitamin C complex, and my stomach was jacked up. Thoughts? Okay. Yeah. I do have some thoughts here. I mean, this is actually quite common. So one, you probably have some metabolic dysfunction, and that sounds big and scary, but it's not, because virtually 100% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction at this point. By the time they get to me, they're usually dealing with gut issues. So you probably have some micronutrient absorption issues. And number two, you probably have significant micronutrient deficiencies. So what happens here is, it's the same thing when somebody takes a salt shot. Talk to them about salt shots for sodium. They'll take like a third of a salt shot that I'll take, no problem, and they'll get diarrhea. And they're like, these salt shots are terrible. I just had diarrhea. Whoa. Your body's probably living in a chronically electrolyte deficient state. It's gotten used to that. It's the same way, like if you take a mega dose of vitamin C, let's say anyone's vitamin C, let alone Paleo Valley's, right? If you take a bunch of vitamin C, too much, you get diarrhea. That's the only side effect. The body just rejects it, right? Now you might take, let's say, 5 grams of vitamin C and get diarrhea. Then you might get the flu. So you go to the doctor, you have the flu, you come home and take 10 grams of vitamin C and you're fine. 2 hours later, take 10 more grams of vitamin C and you're fine. 5 hours later, take 10 grams more of vitamin C and get diarrhea, right? You can use more at different times, if that makes sense. So like if you're sick, you can hyperload vitamin C, or some people will do, I've done intravenous, like 20 grams of vitamin C, no problem. I've done glutathione pushes intravenously that like I couldn't do taking capsules, right? So it gets a little bit tricky with these vitamins, but my guess is that you're having some absorption issues. The most bioavailable forms of micronutrients is animal products. So if you're taking Paleo Valley's organ complex, it's literally just freeze-dried animal organs. Very, very bioavailable stuff. So you're getting extremely bioavailable vitamins and your body's freaking out. It doesn't necessarily know what to do with them. Now, this probably wouldn't be the case. Let's say you switch to Clovis and you go do your macros and go full on and everything. And 60 days from now, we give you Paleo Valley Organ Complex and vitamin C. I bet you wouldn't have the same reaction if I had to guess, right? So there's metabolic dysfunction that we have to undo. That's really what's happening here. So anyway, bioavailability. It's a big thing. We talked about it last episode too with vitamin D. Bioavailability is everything. And bioavailability is always at its highest in animal products. My boys take them every day. Awesome. Yeah. So even Jackie's little ones are doing fine with those supplements. So yeah, don't be afraid of these things. Like if you have a little bit of stomach upset, it's the same way that's like if everybody just gave up because detoxing off sugar sucks, then they'd never get healthy. You know, that first week is going to suck. A lot of times people switch to Clovis and get diarrhea and get headaches and, you know, are tired and all these things. And then they get to the other side of it and they're like, I had no idea I could ever feel this good. Yeah, because you're living like a crack addict. You're addicted to sugar. You know, addicted to carbohydrates and all these toxins, all these things. You got to get them out of your system. You have to go through that process. And part of that is your body doesn't even know how to handle extremely micronutrient dense foods. It's freaking out. You give it a bunch of micronutrients and it gets diarrhia and your stomach hurts. It's an absorption issue. You got gut issues. Most people have gut issues by the time they get to me, at least. So it's a big deal. Steve, I love ribeye. Me too, man. Had a big ribeye tonight with sweet potato and broccoli. Awesome. That's amazing. I had 10-ounce steak and just some egg yolks. That was my dinner. Whip that up real quick. My boys take them. Paleo Valley is amazing. Use both of those supplements. I know. I love them. It's great. Their organ complex is fantastic. I just love it. Good stuff. What else we got? Jackie, would you suggest she pause them for a little while? I would. Yeah, for sure. And this is multifaceted because one, they're clearly not absorbing them properly. The body is rejecting this, right? So I would put it on hold for sure. Now, I don't think it would be dangerous or harmful for them to continue doing it, but there's a psychological aspect here, right? If I tell you, keep taking this pill, keep taking this pill, keep taking this pill. It's the same way if someone tells me that salt shots are giving them diarrhea, I'm like, whoa, cut back. If I tell you to take 3 grams of sodium per day, you try that and you get diarrhea, don't do that the next day. Do far, far less. Do what doesn't give you diarrhea and get comfortable with that and then work your way up, right? Or maybe, I think Paleo Valley's dose is like 4 pills. So maybe try 1 Paleo Valley pill and then do that for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it takes. And then introduce a second pill or a third pill or a fourth pill or whatever. So you can ease your way into this. But yeah, you can totally stop. And you might want to reach out to me if you got your custom plan. We might need to tweak. I might need to tweak for you because there may be some significant gut issues going on, something like leaky gut or some kind of bacterial growth or something like that. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit further about that. And then we could potentially get you on some different supplements to try to work towards healing up the gut and really fixing this. If it's a leaky gut issue, just try to strengthen your gut and get you to the point where you can absorb nutrients better, because this is a nutrient absorption issue. That's what I'm seeing from what you've written here. What else we got? Thought I felt good pre-Clovis, then I followed the food and macros and feel absolutely incredible. Exactly. And gets me into trouble at dinner parties, everybody. But people say to me all the time, they're like, I drink wine every night and I eat bread and I feel amazing. I jump out of bed every morning and I feel amazing. And I'm like, you think you feel amazing. On a scale of 1 to 10, your 10 is my 2. You don't know what my 10 feels like. You just don't. And I know this because I always thought I felt amazing too. I drink Jägermeister and Miller Lite all night and then wake up, sleep in, and then I do a P90X workout and make myself puke and like, I feel great. I feel so good. Let me go drink a coffee and go play the next gig. I feel great. Like, people just don't know that they don't feel great. You get used to feeling like crap for decades. You just start to think that feeling like crap is actually feeling good. But like, I think most Americans, like obese Americans and stuff, like if I woke up feeling like them, I'd be like instantly depressed and be like, oh my God, why do I feel so terrible, right? Because my normal, it's the same way I can't go back to drinking like I used to. Like I have one slight hangover and I'm like, oh my God, how do people do this? This is miserable. I'm like the biggest baby when I'm hungover. I'm just like drinking all the sodium and taking electrolytes and drinking water and sitting in my sauna and taking cold showers and trying to biohack. Like, get this feeling away from me. Some people wake up like that all the time. I can't do it. No way, man. It's crazy. What else we got? Oh yeah, Jackie, we did talk about that on the podcast. Go listen to that podcast, everybody. Let's see, maybe Clovis.show/Jackie. You got your own tag, Jackie. Clovis.show/Jackie. Bam. Go there. I don't know if it hyperlinks out. Clovis.show is a weird URL because there's no .com. It doesn't tend to hyperlink, but just copy and paste that. Clovis.show/Jackie. We had a wonderful conversation. I absolutely love it. Go listen to it. I'm getting good reviews, by the way, Jackie. People are loving that episode. People have texted me about it. It's really cool. You make people cry, apparently, which is fun. All right, so a couple questions I'm going to hit real quick because I don't know a ton about this, but I think it was the same person, but they sent me a bunch of hair questions. So question number one that I have no idea about is how do you prevent unwanted hair growth? And then she said, I'm tired of shaving my legs, right? I have no idea. I'm literally like, I'm built like a freaking hobbit. Like I have hair on my back, I have hair on my chest, I have hair on my stomach. I got hair everywhere, everybody. You see my butt cheeks. We're talking hair, right? So I don't know. I have no idea why some people have more hair. It's just genetic. It's like, I was just going to list ethnic groups, but some things even Justin probably shouldn't do on a podcast. But some people are just hairier than others. It's the way it is, right? Some people are hairier. All there is to it. I don't really know. I'm glad I don't have to shave my legs. That's pretty dope. That would suck. But yeah, sorry. You got to shave your legs. Don't know what to tell you about that. Actually, if you have a lot of hair growth, what we're going to talk about now, because you did ask me two questions that I do know a bit about because I have dealt with this with some people close to me and some friends and stuff that this kind of thing, losing your hair can be a little embarrassing. So I've looked into this stuff just a little bit. I am by no means an expert. I'm not the best guy to talk to about this stuff. The unwanted hair, I have no answer for that. I don't know. But like if I suddenly like wasn't having body hair, I'd be like concerned. Oh, something's changing because this seems to be my normal. You know what I mean? Just a hairy guy. So the other question, let me see. There's two of them. One is, how about preventing men's hair loss? Is that possible? I totally believe it's possible. But again, this is just my opinion. You guys are on my Ask Me Anything, my podcast, right? So this is just my opinion. But the jury's sort of out on this one, really, in terms of the scientific community and everything, because most people just chalk this up to genetics. And it's true that genetics definitely play a role. Like if you lose your hair, there's some people like lose their hair when they're 18 years old, right? Like my grandfather, there's a picture of him over there, lost his hair when he was like 20 years old, right? And I have a full head of hair. Both of my dad's parents died with a full head of hair. My mom's dad died completely bald. And then people are like, well, you get it from your mom's side. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Every time I get my hair cut, they're like thinning my hair on purpose, getting all the fluff out of it. Like my hair is so thick. My dad's hair is so thick. And both of his parents died with a full head of hair, right? But they say you get it from your mom's side. I certainly didn't. I show no signs of thinning at all, right? But there are a ton of factors in this, and genetics are a factor, right? The biggest ones, like anything else, hormones run the show, everybody. Usually, if a man has thinning hair, his hair starts to fall out, this is a hormone imbalance. Testosterone plays a role, thyroid plays a role, and thyroid can go either way. It can be hypothyroid or hyperthyroid. Either of these things can actually cause hair loss. That's because we talk about thyroid hormone. Like if you get a thyroid panel done, they're going to show you your thyroid hormone, right? And this binds directly to receptors literally in the base of the follicles in your hair, right? They bind directly to it. So if you have thyroid dysfunction, that can absolutely cause hair loss without a doubt. Cortisol, stress, overtraining, all these stressful job, all these things that we talk about, stress spiking the cortisol. We talked about how cortisol also spikes insulin, leads to fat gain, right? This is how you end up fat and bald, everybody. Cortisol plays a role in belly fat, visceral fat. Cortisol plays a massive role in hair loss. Cortisol is directly linked to hair loss, right? So de-stress, this idea of like I'm so stressed I could pull my hair out type thing, like that's not, I mean, it's a cliche, but that's really, yeah, stress plays a huge role in this because cortisol is directly linked to hair loss. And then testosterone. Testosterone also plays a huge role. I think we have an epidemic of low testosterone in this country. One, because of the vilification of fats, because of the vilifications of red meat. We got all these half men walking around because their wife has them eating plant-based or something. And you're like, God, right? It's just crazy. So low testosterone, big deal. Low or high thyroid hormone can be a big deal. And cortisol, you got to lower the stress, right? So if you see a dude, a boyfriend or husband or some guy in your family, same goes for women too. Women have thinning hair for sure. It happens all the time. So thinning hair, if you see this happening, hair falling out or hair coming out in a brush or on your pillow or something, you got to go get a full hormone panel done for sure. Like Wellness FX has a male hormone panel, female hormone panel. SpectraCell has a male hormone panel, female hormone panel. You got to get your hormones tested, and then you need to find somebody who knows how to interpret that data 100%. Okay. So genetics play a huge role. They absolutely do. But in terms of prevention, the best prevention is to have solid hormone balance, AKA Clovis, whole food omnivore diet, everybody, right? So just balance your hormones. That's it. If you're talking about prevention, and then if hair thinning starts, you got to make changes. You have to make lifestyle changes, and you got to do it quick, or you're going to end up bald, right? So big deal. The other thing is gray hair the result of micronutrient deficiency, or is gray hair the result of micronutrient deficiency to some degree? I heard that several years ago from a guy selling vitamins, and honestly, it made me take more vitamins. Oh no. I'm 36 and no gray hair. I don't know when that happens. Vitamins, everybody. $24 billion a year industry, and America is still fat, sick, and nearly dead. Can we talk about vitamins, everybody? Sorry. Stuff drives me nuts. This marketing stuff still drives me crazy, right? So is gray hair a micronutrient deficiency? Probably plays a role in it, if I had to guess, because I think just about any unwanted thing that exists in health and wellness today is probably linked to a micronutrient deficiency. Literally, like every single thing. Micronutrient deficiency is a big issue. It's probably at the root of a lot of things, or at least one of the factors in like a multifactorial problem that you're dealing with, right? So the skin produces melanin. We know this, right? The hair does as well. That is the color in your hair. So your hair produces melanin, and then the melanin, as you get older, the melanin starts to decrease, and that color goes away. But the thing to remember is antioxidants go away, natural antioxidants in your body, the master antioxidant being glutathione. This goes down as you age. That's just well documented. It's quite intelligent for older people to find ways to increase their glutathione, and there are ways to do this. So glutathione going down is directly linked to melanin leaving the hair. I guess you could call that a micronutrient deficiency. It's more like an antioxidant deficiency. So antioxidants are supposed to help with gray hair, but I can't make any promises there. And glutathione doesn't work well orally. The same way that vitamin C is not really the same orally. It's like you can take it orally and you'll get some. Vitamin C is also supposed to increase glutathione. So something you could try is supplementing like Paleo Valley's vitamin C complex and then trying to supplement some glutathione. But glutathione orally, I'm skeptical about. I don't think it works very well. There are certain things like proteins, like even they talk about whey protein. It's really just amino acids. Certain amino acids can help boost glutathione production. So boosting glutathione production probably helps. Vitamin C could help. Glutathione help to keep the melanin in your hair longer. So if you had if your body was producing, it's also debatable that we can even really increase antioxidants in the body through ingesting them. But you could do like glutathione IVs. If you have the money, it's expensive. The last glutathione IV I did had like B vitamins and glutathione, and all this stuff cost me like $250. But you could do a glutathione push once a month or something, keep glutathione levels up. If you're older, that might help with gray hair, but again, I can't promise. I know that Ayurvedic doctors, like they talk about ashwagandha apparently being able to raise glutathione levels as well. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but I would be quite skeptical if you said, I'm going to take a multivitamin or I'm going to increase my vitamin intake to prevent gray hair. I don't really think that that's the case. I don't think that's going to do much for you. And then there's also things too, like you could probably look this up, but there's creams for gray hair. It's called like PCK cream or something. I have no idea. I've never used it. I've never bought it, but there is a gray hair cream. And I'm not talking like just for men, like a dye. No. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not like a hair dye. It's like an actual cream. I don't know. Maybe somebody knows this. Somebody might know. But there's an actual cream that's supposed to help prevent gray hair. So yeah, gray hair, glutathione production would probably help. And again, with the amino acid thing, increase protein, man. Whenever we're talking about micronutrient deficiencies, increase these animal proteins. Organ meats loaded with micronutrients. All these proteins, different amino acids you have that are precursors to making different things, to synthesizing other things, right? Natural glutathione production is super important. You need all the micronutrients you can get for natural production of anything, really. But I wouldn't just say like gray hair is a micronutrient deficiency. You know, my dad has gray hair. He's 60 years old and he has all the micronutrients on earth. He's built like a brick shithouse. He's in amazing shape, 60 years old with abs, right? And like he's got gray hair. So I don't really know, but just a couple little hints you can check out. Just figure out how to keep more melanin in your hair, I guess. What else we got here? Oh, back to feeling amazing. Okay, Kristen, amazing podcast. I have about 15 minutes left of it. Yes, go to clovis.show/Jackie, Jackie. Clovis.show/Jackie. Check it out. It's amazing. I love that conversation. I'm going to be pushing it a lot on Instagram. Gene, I know I'm feeling amazing when I'm more excited about the food I have prepped in my kitchen than food available at the fancy healthy food stores. Yeah, that's a big deal. Again, it's like I talk about with this Paleo Valley organ complex. Could the person keep taking it and keep getting diarrhea? They're not really facing any harm. They could do that, but it's going to be really, really disheartening. It's not going to be fun. It's not a fun way to live, you know? So it's a matter of compliance and sustainability too. Like if you're excited about the food you're eating, much easier to follow a diet, you know? What else we got here? I heard gray hair is a lack of copper. Maybe, could be, not sure. Kristen tagging someone talking about gray hair, topic of the month. That's funny. Gray hair likely, no, well, I don't know that I would say that gray hair is hormone related. I would say loss of hair is most definitely hormone related. I guess hormones would probably play a role in the production of, you know, endogenous antioxidants, if I had to guess. And I would guess hormones could probably play a role in endogenous melanin, perhaps. But any of these things, I mean, hormone balance is hormone balance, right? It's Jackie and I talked about this in the episode with her, where I was just like, everybody wants the fix for these things. Like, what is the fix for gray hair? What is the fix for hair falling out? What causes X? What causes Y? What causes Z? And how do we fix that? You need less of that in your life. All of you. You all need less of that in your life. You need to stop saying, we practice symptom-based medicine in America. I have X symptom, give me Y treatment to make X symptom go away. That is not really the way the human body works, right? There's root cause. What makes root cause happen? I guarantee you that melanin in hair, hair thinning, hair falling out has multiple factors at play. I mean, probably countless factors at play. So what do? Are you going to go through and try to pinpoint every single little target and switch one variable at a time until your hair stops falling out? No. You just do what is best for the body as a whole. We balance hormones. How? Proper nutrition, proper micronutrient intake, proper macronutrient intake, proper foods, removing processed junk that damages the body, right? The worst way to make endogenous antioxidant production happen is to load your body with a bunch of toxins, right? So get rid of the crap. And that's the thing. It's this tricky thing of, and this is the nature of doing an AMA. An AMA is always going to be like, I'm having X problem. What should I do? I'm having Y problem. What should I do? I'm having Z problem. What should I do? Really, if you were to break this down, if you were to get into every single AMA I've ever done and just stop and think about it, my answer is always the same. What you should do is Clovis. Ta-da! Right? That's what it is. Just eat well. Eat well. Yes, you can use boosters. You need assistance in the beginning. You can use things like Paleo Valley's organ complex to get more micronutrients. We can talk about supplements to heal leaky gut. We can talk about probiotics. We can talk about all these different things. We can talk about digestive enzymes if you don't have a gallbladder. There are times when we're going to take technology, modern science, and modern supplementation and use that to your advantage. But at the end of the day, the foundation upon which everything else is built is Clovis. That is it. That is your answer. That's the closest thing to a blanket statement you're ever going to get from me. You need to eat well for your body to do the things that you want it to do properly. That's it, right? I'm always going to go whole foods first over supplements. There are supplements we can use. The only reason why supplements even exist is because people are so far gone with their health and wellness. We shouldn't need all this nonsense, everybody. We shouldn't have to repair leaky gut. We shouldn't have to replace bile in your stomach because some doctor took out your gallbladder that didn't need to, right? We shouldn't have to deal with these things, but we do. They're the reality. That's where supplements come from. But supplements should never be looked at as the thing. Like number one, oh, I'm going to take a multivitamin and not have gray hair. No, I guarantee you that's not going to work. So there you have it, everybody. The answer is Clovis. Boom. And it's 9 p.m. Just like that. We crushed it. Right? Anybody got any questions? Hit me with questions. Let's see here. What are we looking at? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now because I just realized this, that I didn't turn my sauna on. I'm upset. My sauna needs to preheat. Boom. Power on. Boom. See that? Just on. Now my sauna will preheat. Pretty cool. Loving life, everybody. That's awesome. Preheat the sauna. All right. Any questions before we duck out of here? What else we got? Anybody? Questions about hair or Clovis or body hair, which I have an awful lot of. Anything and everything. I'll hang out for a couple minutes. In the meantime, go check out Jackie's podcast. It's awesome. We talk a lot about parenting, lots of parenting tips, lots of parenting strategies, and just a lot of real talk about parenting. And that's really important. I think that's like critical in today's society. It really is, because I struggle tremendously. It's one of the biggest struggles of my life is, I mean, I genuinely mean that. I'm not being like funny or sarcastic. One of the biggest struggles of my entire life, my entire existence, is watching the way people feed children. It is one of the most horrific aspects of being alive. I truly believe that. Like watching what people put in the mouths of kids in America at every hockey game, baseball game, church event, school event, watching what is handed to kids and watching them put it in their mouth, one of the single biggest challenges of my life, really. It's the only time in public where I'm like, I'm at a serious risk of not keeping my cool right now. This is super tricky. I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do about it. So I just gotta be quiet. Have you talked about vascular structure and how it improves with proper nutrition? That's a tricky one. Shoot me that in an AMA, because there's no way I can wrap that here. I'm gonna wrap here in a couple minutes, but yeah, that's definitely, yeah, we can go there. We'll go there one day. So go to ama.iamclovis.com, ama.iamclovis.com. There you go. Send me that. What else we got? I have a vitamin D deficiency and take 5,000 IUs of D3 daily to maintain. Any recommendations diet-wise? Yeah, animals, liver, egg yolks, and wild-caught salmon. Some people argue about wild-caught salmon because there's so much mercury issues in fish, but animal products, and sunlight, direct sunlight with no sunscreen. I do not like sunscreen. So vitamin D deficiency, we talked about this last week too. You might want to watch last week's AMA number 72. Go to clovis.show and check out AMA number 72, or the Clovis Culture podcast and check out AMA number 72, because we talk about this, because you also need to be on a good vitamin D3 supplement. There are a bunch of dog shit vitamin D3 supplements. The only one I recommend to anybody is Thorne vitamin D3 plus K2. That's what I would take if I were you. And again, the most bioavailable forms, that's what you need, the most bioavailable. There are plenty of people who supplement vitamin D like crazy and their levels never go up. That was the question last week. How can I supplement vitamin D and my levels don't go up? Because it's not bioavailable. Supplementation is not the best way to get vitamin D, in my opinion. It's really not. So I would say 15 minutes of direct sunlight on your skin every day. Do it every morning if you do. That's what I do. I make a big jug, 16-ounce glass of water with a bunch of salt in there, sea salt, and I sit on my front steps where the sun rises in the east, and I'm out there shirtless in shorts and just drinking water, and I get that direct sunlight every day. I do that even in the wintertime, right? I want that sunlight on my skin so I can synthesize vitamin D. And then liver, egg yolks, and salmon. That's what I would recommend, wild-caught salmon. It's way more bioavailable than any supplement you're going to take. Again, whole foods over supplements. Keep taking the supplement, sure, until your levels get up there. But remember, it's going to be whole foods for sure, 100%. Yeah, I need more sleep and less chaos and stress, feeling out new boundaries with myself. Yes, stress is huge. I take a ton of time for self-care. I bet if I added it up, you guys, I'm balls to the walls with Clovis. You guys know how much I work, particularly those that interact with me. I work nonstop, literally nonstop. This is my life, right? But I bet you I have a solid, if I count working out, I probably spend 3 hours a day on just self-care. If I had to guess, probably less than that. Let's see, my morning routine is about an hour. And then I do 20 minutes in the sauna at night and then a cold shower. So we'll call that 25 minutes with a meditation in the sauna. And then my average workout's only about 30 minutes. So maybe 2 hours, maybe 2 hours, something like that, a day just on self-care. That's journaling, reading, meditating, getting in the sauna, getting in the cold shower, working out. Self-care is everything. Whatever you need to do, no matter how busy your schedule is, if you need to write it into your schedule, write it in. If you need to schedule a 5-minute meditation, like the second the kids get out the door, let's say, you might have 10 minutes before you got to be somewhere else, take 5 minutes to meditate, then get in the car. I'm telling you, this stuff is critical. Stress is absolutely critical to human health, managing stress. What else we got? All right. Yeah, Mike, go out in the sun, chicken liver and hearts, sauteed in butter. Sounds good to me. Yeah, vitamin D, it's all about bioavailability. That's the big thing, bioavailability, because the most bioavailable micronutrients are going to be in animal products. And the sun, the good old sun, which the government has also taught us to be afraid of. Everyone's afraid of the freaking sun. It makes me nuts. Don't be afraid of the sun. The sun is beautiful. I love it. Just be a grown-up and know that you can't cook yourself like bacon in the sun for hours and not expect to have negative consequences of that. I don't think any of our ancestors were laying on the beach for hours sleeping and then turning over to get equal sun exposure, like fish flopping around out of water. You don't need to do that. Don't do that. Okay. Let's end with that. Fish flopping out of water. All right, guys, this is AMA number 73. Thank you guys for all the questions. I appreciate it. We talked about hair. We talked about whole food plant-based versus whole food animal-based. We talked about garlic, which is totally approved. Garlic is awesome. What else did we cover? Let's see here. Paleo Valley, Organ Complex, vitamin C. Where's the best place to understand what the program entails? Go check out youtube.com/theclovisculture. Again, talked about hair loss, hair graying, all these things. Great episode, guys. You guys are badass with these questions. I love it. I love ama.iamclovis.com. Is one of the best decisions I ever made was to just make that page for you guys to submit questions. I love it. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is so much fun, particularly on a day like today where I just got to jump in and field them like, hey, cool. Just did a gig. Boom. Let's hit some questions. Awesome. I'm also hanging out for a couple minutes longer because I know my sauna is heating up. I think self-care is where a lot of us struggle. It's not just taking a bath. No, it's definitely not just taking a bath. It has to be, it's a practice. And that, I'm going to harp on this just for a second, right? Self-care is a practice. I remember, like, for instance, Sam and I actually talked about this in an upcoming episode. Sam Price and I did a testimony podcast, and she talked about how difficult morning pages was. Morning pages is a journaling thing that I recommend, where you just write 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing first thing every morning with a cup of coffee, whatever. Just write 3 pages. You could literally write like, this exercise is dumb. I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't think of anything. This is crazy. And then, a month later, you'll be writing your whole life. It's like personal therapy, right? Just that exercise alone, but it's a practice. And it's consistency that makes these things work. Consistency is what makes cold showers effective. Consistency is what makes sauna effective. Consistency is what makes meditation effective. Consistency is what makes journaling effective. These things have to be built into your routine. And I know that days will get blown up, everybody. My days get blown up. I don't always get my routine. I don't always get to work out. Sometimes fires need to get put out. And I end up working all day, literally not leaving my home office, never leaving the house. Those days happen to me too. Trust me, I know you guys are busy. I know people have kids. I know all these things, right? I am very busy for sure, just in a different way. I don't have kids, right? I totally understand. We're different kinds of busy for sure. But days are going to get blown up. You need to accept that and know that that's going to happen. So even, let's say I say, start journaling, do it every day. And you go, okay. And you journal on Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday through Sunday get completely blown up, smashed to smithereens. You don't have a minute to journal. Okay. And then you wake up Monday morning and you go, ooh, I got 10 minutes. Look at this beautiful gift, right? It's the idea of consistency. It doesn't even have to be that it's consistent 100% of the time militantly. It's the idea of consistency. But what people do is when they know they can't do it every day, they throw their hands up and they don't even start, right? Nope, I have kids. I got to get them to school in the morning. Husband needs this. I have this problem. I have this. I can't eat. Nope, I can't do 5 minutes. No, Justin, you don't know my life. I can't do 5 minutes. I can't do 5 minutes. If you can't do 5 minutes, things need to be re-examined, right? Now, I'm not saying you're going to get 5 minutes 7 days a week. That's probably not going to happen. I don't get to meditate every single day, but most days I'm going to meditate. It is always my priority and my plan to meditate, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. You see what I mean? So you just have to get yourself in this mindset. And what we have to ditch is, because a lot of us, myself included, have done these P90X programs, the DVD programs. You can't skip a day, you can't skip a day, you can't skip a day. And it's this idea of you skip a day and you feel guilty. Oh shit, Justin told me that I have to be consistent with meditation, and Wednesday and Thursday I didn't meditate, and now it's Friday. What's the point of meditating? No, we got to flip that on its head, everybody. It's got to be self-love. None of this guilt bullshit. Like, I missed it. I suck. I missed my meditation day. I'm useless. No, that's the way that people self-talk. It's the same thing with fitness. I missed my workout. I feel like crap. I'm so lazy. And then people just give up, you know? So you just got to flip the script on its head. All these things, fitness and everything else, you know, fitness and meditation, all these things, these are acts of self-love. So we have to frame them in the context of self-love. It's always interesting to me when people take something like fitness, which should be an act of self-love, and turn it into punishment. That's what America has done with the fitness industry. No pain, no gain. Get in there and do it. Doesn't matter, baby. Suck it up. You know, it's like these things are all an act of self-love. So self-care is probably the greatest act of self-love I can think of, right? So prioritize it wherever you can, whenever you can. And think about it. There's a lot of people that, I was just talking to my buddy about this on the phone, actually, because, you know, he comes home and wants to chill out, so he drinks, you know, and you're like, okay, cool, man. But, you know, if you have time for a glass of wine, to sit and have a glass of wine, you probably have time for a 10-minute meditation. You probably do. And you'll find that you can schedule meditation, but it might not happen when it's scheduled. Then something might magically pop up. I mean, you can be in the grocery store. You can leave the grocery store, sit in your car, know that hubby's at home with the kids, and be like, I'm going to be 10 minutes late getting back to the house. I'm going to meditate in my car. Boom. Right? Who says you can't? Who says you can't do that? Meditate in your car. Sit there with your eyes closed and think. You don't need a guided meditation. You don't need all this stuff, right? Just sit, breathe, focus on your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Follow the breath. Do that for a couple of minutes. Do it for 3 minutes in the grocery store parking lot. You see what I'm saying? So just, anyway, I'm ranting now, but yeah, squeeze these things in. It's awesome. Yeah, self-care is intentional. It will always be intentional. It's a great comment, Kristen. All right, guys. AMA number 73. I love you. Thanks for all the questions. Go to ama.iamclovis.com. Leave me more questions at any given day of the week. I always prompt you guys on like Tuesday, but any given day of the week, just submit your questions. ama.iamclovis.com. I like to have a database of questions. That's awesome. Next week, Wednesday, is my birthday, June 19th. I will be on a pontoon. I will probably have substances in my body that will make it difficult for me to answer questions in a coherent way by the time 8 p.m. rolls around. Also, because my drinking buddy I just talked about is going to be in town, which means I'm going to have very bad influence around me. So we're going to be on a pontoon all day. We're going to be in the sun, oh boy. And there's going to be White Claws and all sorts of fun stuff. It's going to be great. So we'll see. Probably not. I'm probably not going to do an AMA on Wednesday. Maybe I'll go live and chat with you guys. Maybe I'll go live in the groups or something. Maybe we'll do a little birthday thing. Also, keep your eyes peeled on your email. Go to iamclovis.com and sign up for the newsletter, because there is going to be a special thing for my birthday. Special birthday gifts for you guys for my birthday. Can't wait. Next week's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it, actually. I've been like dying for next week to come, because it's going to be really cool. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. Jackie, yes, if you have time to shit, you can breathe. It's 100% accurate. Sit in the toilet for an extra couple minutes. Who doesn't? Scrolling Instagram. Get off Instagram while you're pooping, everybody. Come on now. Don't look at my Facebook ads while you're pooping. Don't watch my AMAs. I'm just kidding. Watch my AMAs while you're pooping. That's totally cool. We're on that level. I'm cool with it. All right. Let's end with that. Watch my AMAs while you're pooping. I appreciate it. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Turn the screens off. Go to bed. Get some deep sleep. Don't drink any coffee before bed, all you crazy coffee drinking people. Don't do that stuff, right? That's crazy. Don't drink any coffee. Go to bed right now. Self-care. Get 8 hours of sleep tonight. Try it. All right, guys. Have a great night. Until next time, I'll see you tomorrow live in the groups. I am Clovis and Clovis Academy. All right. Good night. Bye.